Becca, how do you think the work environment is going to change over the next 10 years?
In my opinion, I think there are three main ways that the work environment is going to change with the advancement of the millennial generation in the workforce. The first way, I think that the work environment is going to be a little bit more flexible as to when and where you are working. Employers are going to focus more on the output of the individual rather than when they are exactly in the office. There's such an increase in technological advances that allow employees to really be more collaborative with one another regardless of their location. For example, the RSAs are spread throughout California, and we touch base with bi-monthly meetings just to talk about successful campaigns that they are working on and really feed off one another just to see new ways and innovative ways that we can better compete with our market. I do think that there's going to be an increase in satellite offices that will serve as anchor points for employees rather than daily destinations. The second way I think that the work environment is going to change is through customization of his or her work. Customizing work to me means creating your own career path and moving throughout the organization and really finding that niche of where you want to work, rather than being prescribed to a career path right when you walk in the door. Technology is changing, and I think that there is going to be a shift from knowledge worker to learning worker, because it's so important to stay on top of things that are changing and revolving around your industry. For example, the RSAs here today have been in a fundamentals of credit course in LA this week, and many are pursuing their MBA. The third way I think that the work environment is going to change is through new ways of communication and collaboration. There's already been a shift through tools and technologies such as video conferencing and internal social networks that really allow workers to be more collaborative. Many companies are ending the miscommunication by integrating different divisions to limit the lack of communication within offices. For example, the San Francisco office, we have changed to a more open floor plan to allow more collective and collaborative ideas. Externally, we are focusing on campaigns that are more directly in line with our market and with our target audience. For example, we are doing a Fitbit campaign in Northern California, who is a current client, and we are sending empty boxes to our top prospects in hopes in getting a meeting and bringing the new Fitbit Zip to the call with them. These are just a few ways that I think the work environment is going to change, and I think it's really important to stay nimble and open-minded in order to better compete in the banking industry.
What are the top 3 challenges facing businesses and companies today?
The top 3 challenges facing business owners and companies today are employee engagement, employee retention, and transparency. As of now, we're in a retention crisis. New Deloitte research shows that the average worker rates their company a 3.1 rating out of a 5 if they would refer their company over to a friend. We've become a world of haves and have-nots when it comes to recruiting top talented employees. Many of the Fortune's best companies are the same ones listed on Glassdoor's best places to work and LinkedIn's most in demand for employers. This leads into my second point, transparency. Now, talk a little bit more about transparency. If you're not a great employer, people will find out fast. This has made it very difficult for employers and company owners to recruit these talented individuals when their ratings on these websites are not so good. This leads into my third biggest challenge, employee engagement. Now, statistics show that only 21% of the employees feel strongly valued at work, and peers are the #1 reason why they go the extra mile, not money. In addition, Those companies who have high level of engagement with their employees endure a 2.5 times more revenue growth than those companies who do not. I suppose the reason why I'm so passionate about this topic is because of my own experience here at City National Bank. When I first started my position, I noticed a lot of room for opportunity and a lot of room for growth. As I became more engaged in the marketing campaigns, I truly felt that my decisions actually mattered. And I think it's safe to say that we all get a little excited when we talk about our strengths, our weaknesses, our threats, and our opportunities. The whole point is to get every employee involved and engaged to reach our maximum output. To put in perspective, this is the reason why I work closely with my relationship managers and strategize with my office managers to reach these common goals. Hopefully from this evaluation, we can all take note and improve on our business practices. I want to thank you all for your time, and I hope you all enjoyed the video.
Alyssa, so what impact will technology have on banking within the next 10 years?
What's one of the most important things about business? Time. How long is something going to take? How quickly before you can get those documents sent over? How soon before your new employee will begin to show you results? The list goes on and on. Now I know some of you may be wondering what time has to do with technology and how this all relates back to banking within the next 10 years. Well, the answer is technology. Specifically, how technology can save time. One of the most interesting aspects of technology is how connected each singular application, platform, database, or software all work together on one specific device. We have the ability to download an application or a software to perform one very specific task. I know that sounds like a waste of time or a waste of money. However, when you have multiple facets of technology, each performing their specific task, they are all working together on one singular device, which is ultimately saving more time for that user. Take expense reporting, for example. Now I know the bank just got Chrome River, and it has already simplified expense reporting from our previous system. However, because technology is consistently changing, there's a new app called Shoebox, which is already gaining traction for making expense reporting even simpler. I spoke with a couple of the admins within the bank because I wanted to get a better understanding of how long expense reporting can take. Depending on the specific employee and the amount of travel for the month, it can vary. It can go anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple of days. Now I know it's probably 30 minutes because all of the managers do a really good job of keeping track of each receipt that they use, thus making their admin's life a lot easier. However, for the employee who does travel a lot and takes many prospects out to lunch or to dinner or etc., there's the ability to use Shoebox, which allows you to take a picture of your receipt in real time, upload it through the app where it is then categorized and stored in a database, which is then human verified and can be accessed and downloaded from anywhere. No more looks of disappointment when your admin approaches you and asks if you have a receipt from the lunch you went to last week and you have to tell her or him that you forgot it. No more trying to remember what jacket pocket you put your receipt in from last Wednesday. All of the annoyances revolved around expense reporting have been simplified to a picture and an app. Now, for better or for worse, thanks to Apple, Amazon, and Uber, all three of these companies have changed the expectations of employees and customers. They have created a culture where we expect things instantaneously. Think of your computer or your phone, for example. How frustrated do you become if your phone or your computer freezes, or if it doesn't do what you want it to do when you want it to do it? How many times have you seen a little kid go up to a screen and try to zoom in to try to make the picture bigger, or to tap it to try to make it do something that it's not supposed to do? These are all examples of how quickly technology is changing and how technology that is made accessible to us today can become a moot point by tomorrow. Now, I know it was just released that we are getting Salesforce, and I am so excited to begin working with Salesforce because I am an employee who has to interact with my CMB on a day-to-day basis, and my CMB sometimes we have a couple of run-ins that I don't agree with, but with the implementation of Salesforce, it's going to take our processing internally to the next level. It will make us so much faster, and that we will be spending less time with a database that can't support the amount of traffic that we generate. One of the great things about Salesforce is if you send a letter to a prospect, you can then generate an email and attach it to that prospect's account in Salesforce. And then you can select a specific day and a specific time where that email is automatically generated through the Salesforce system. There are no extra steps taken by that employee to remember to try to send that email. So now the internal processing of tracking activities and events and meetings has become that much simpler, and I cannot wait to start using Salesforce.
Brandon, as one of the original RSAs, you helped develop most of the techniques that we use to research companies and engage them in a meaningful dialogue with the ultimate goal of bringing them on board as clients. Can you go over some of those techniques?
Sure. So as RSAs in our role, one of the primary things we want to make sure we're doing is supplying each region of CBS with a multitude of prospect lists for calling efforts, industry-specific campaigns, region-specific campaigns, or anything of that nature. So in order to do that, we have a variety of applications we use, such as Hoovers to get general company information. We cross-reference things with MyCMB to see what's already been done through the bank or with the bank. Right. We use Commercial Pro to get real estate information. We pull a UCC list to see which prospects are with which competitors and try to build off of that. Yeah. Maybe you can talk about how we use those for research purposes.
Yeah, so like you said, we use Hoovers, and that gives us a general idea about the revenue size, employee size, executives in the company. We'll also take a look at their LexisNexis profiles, which gives UCC information, who the incumbent bank is, what type of collateral they have, and if there's any equipment opportunities in there. We'll also use Commercial Pro to find out if the company owns commercial real estate. So we use all these platforms, but the important thing that we do with it is aggregate all that information into an easy readable profile for the RMs and BDOs to reference before they go into a meeting or just to get a general idea of the company. And that's really the first layer of research that we do. Then we go on to deeper level of research, and maybe you could explain.
Yeah, so that's the first layer where we're able to vet a company and make sure, yes, they fit the CVS target market for all the criteria that you mentioned before. Yeah. Then we want to take that second step and get personalized information on the decision maker. Right. We use that to figure out their interests, maybe hometowns, to kind of get that edge when the sales officer is going for that prospect meeting. Right. We do this by utilizing a majority of different platforms and applications, but for the most part, it's social media. Yeah. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, even. Yeah. Are good for those research purposes.
Right, and LinkedIn is a great tool just in general because it lets you see who the executives are of the company. You get to see a lot of the employees that companies have, and you get to connect with executives even if you may not know them personally. Right. So you could connect with them, they get to see who you are, and you can also send them an email, which is a lot easier to do than trying to cold call someone and get through a gatekeeper. You can send them a message right on LinkedIn.
Right. That's actually a good point about how we can use social media in more than one aspect. Right. I was talking about research, you were talking about outreach. Yeah. We can also use it for broader marketing campaigns or region-specific campaigns. We can go through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or even Instagram if you get that account.
That's right. Yeah, Instagram, if people don't know, it has over 400 million users out there. There's also a really great function that Instagram has, not a lot of people know about, is you can simultaneously post on all the social media platforms that you're using. So if you put something up on Instagram, it can automatically go to LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever else you're on. And, that kind of leads into the general idea or general perspective of the internet. It's really the collective brain of society with all the information that it stores. So whether we like it or not, it affects our lives on a conscious or even subconscious levels, ways that we're not even aware of sometimes.
That's a good point, actually. Stephen Hawking once said, pretty smart guy. Yeah. He once said that intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Mm-hmm. And us as RSAs, I think all we're really trying to do is acquire the wealth of knowledge and experience of all the CBS colleagues and integrate it with the technologies that are available to us in order to make our prospecting efforts as effective as they could be.
Right. And we're just here to use technology to usher in CBS into the modern era.
Usher, man, that's it. We're done. Cut. That was perfect. Cut it. Cut. What's wrong with you, man?
I just got this text from my buddy's brother.
What happened? Is he good? Or?
So my buddy's a magician in Mexico, and he decided to do the street performance and go up to a group of people and say, hey, I'm going to make myself disappear on the count of 3. So he counts 1, 2, and poof, he's gone without a trace.